Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Read Tifos, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Do You Remember?, written by Lostfol. As Joek pulled the trigger, he couldn't help but feel the thrill as he watched the smouldering bodies drop. Many of his species were pirates, something they credited to their predatory nature. Something was off, had been since they docked. The station's normal rush of sapiens running around acted terrified, yet barely gave his armed marauders a second glance. They had yet to even see a guard, which was odd despite normally scarce numbers present in the corrupt station. He had attributed it to the sizable pirate fleet that he had landed. His crew of 132 bastards were all veterans of many campaigns and some of the deadliest in the galaxy. Something is wrong. We have yet to find a slaver, yet we find most of the slave cages full, he pondered.
Dival, where in the grag are you hiding? Your cowardly ass is losing a lot of merchandise here, and we're going to find you,
he shouted into the station's system-wide broadcast. Let everyone around see this. Let them know that Joek Krotik are something to be feared. He generally loved the fear others had of those in his profession. But the fat Jargoo slug who ran the slaving operation was nowhere to be found. Here I am, on this farce of a show. The only thing a Jargoo values more than his own life is his wealth. At least, that's what my experience with those slimy slugs has always been.
Dival, you are running out of merchandise here. For such a notorious figure, you sure are a coward. You didn't even have the spine to put up a fight, he yelled. Behind him, he could hear his Krotik chuckling behind him at his joke. Everyone knew the Jargoo actually had no bones, just a thick skin that constantly rippled in a disturbing manner. Cash, bring more of the vermin out. If we can't collect on his ass, we'll bankrupt him,
Joek yelled as he walked towards a bottle of one of his species' favorite intoxicants. The sugar levels in it were almost lethal to most creatures. I can't believe we haven't found one of his guards yet, let alone that slug. That bastard Dival probably thinks that he is setting a trap for us. Either that, or he's trying to get off station. But we would notice something as large as a slaving operation trying to flee. Why am I so uncomfortable? Something about the station is wrong. Another line was brought out by his crew. He hardly noticed the sounds of their feet scraping on the metal floor or the clink of their chains. He was too focused on the strange sensation. Something's not right. Since leaving his birth planet of Castle, it was the first that he felt it. That unseen and unknown imminent threat. Castle was a cruel world where they had to constantly watch for Harkin. Well, rare now, the monstrous creature came out at night, looking to prey upon his species. His was one of only 2 known species to have made it into space without being the apex predator of their planet. The other was the Korlik, an easily frightened race that he thought looked exceptionally tasty. As he turned, surveying his surroundings again, he was shocked at the slave in front of him.
"The Mentok with the psychic collar. You're no slave," he sneered. "What is your name?"
He expected and was prepared for a psychic attack. He was sure it was coming. His nullifier already activated. Even with the nullifier, he knew that they were formidable creatures. More than once he had almost been killed by one, a predator that crafted illusions in the mind of its prey and fed off both emotions and being. This one, though, he looked ragged. "I am called Osbor, but that does not matter. You are about to release me from this nightmare. I don't want to see or feel anymore. Please, proceed." Joek heard with both of his ears and his mind. In his mind, he could feel the Mentok sense of exhaustion and even a touch of its fear. The fear was not of dying, but of living on. Osbor hadn't shown him what, but it was still there.
"You are the first one who seems to have any idea where I can find that fat slug and his friends, Osbor. Perhaps you can shed some light on where I can find the cowards. I would really like to get my hands on Dival," he said, approaching the shackled slave while doing his best to sound both civil and menacing. "I can't imagine you have any love lost for them."
"Love? No, I have no love for them.
You can find them in Hangar 9.
Osborne replied, as his sightless gaze seemed to linger on Joic.
You already know something is wrong. You sense it, yet you stay.
At this, Joic could feel every visual perceptor in the room turn to him. Not all creatures had eyes, though most did. Most regard the Carson, like himself, to be the most dangerous species in space. Scholars argued this was in large part because of their senses honed on a deadly world where they were not the apex predator.
Yeah, something's not right here. That is clear to us all. But these beings around me are the most dangerous creatures in the sector,
Joic replied, knowing his words would embolden his men, despite how hollow they felt. The feeling was becoming almost overbearing, that sense of being stalked.
Ha ha ha. Those slaves before you thought the same. When I first sensed it, I should have warned them, but I was curious. Until now, I always regarded my sight as a gift. Now, it is my curse,
Osborne replied before suddenly grabbing the sides of his head and crumbling to his knees.
It is too late for you to leave now. I'm truly sorry. Please finish. I wish to see no more.
Joic found himself dumbstruck. The pain projected and washed as a great wave as Osborne had spoken the last part. The Mentok feed off fear and pain in addition to the protein of the victims. They were infamous for torturing their food for hours. Joic found his nullifier buzzing as the Mentok willed him to kill it, something he quickly squashed. He looked down at the broken creature as that sensation of dread came back stronger.
What does he mean they are all in Hangar 9? Is he lying to me? I need more information.
After a moment of reflection, he decided to trust his instincts.
Put the rest of the slaves back and keep the Mentok here. I want to know what happened here. I want a squad to go check Hangar 9. Bring me any slavers you find there. Be prepared for a trap. Also, get a squad to check our ships. If we have to leave, I want them ready. Also, have everyone report in. If our friend here is correct, something else is going on.
As his men left, leaving Joic with Osborne, he turned his attention back to the broken slave.
He knows what is happening. Why can't he just tell me? He pondered. He almost jumped at the reply. They don't truly know, only what it chooses to share. Its mind is chaotic, broken, divided, delved and hurted in a way that doesn't heal. His slavers brought in a young specimen from a species that was unknown. I would have been interested in tasting its emotions, but I killed it after it murdered a guard. He wanted to make an example. This creature found its young in the protein vat being processed.
After a moment, Osborne continued.
Normally, we feed on fear and pain, but its fear and pain are toxic. It is laced with other, stronger emotions that terrify me. Its mind is full of poison.
Osborne started. He continued to sit on his knees in that crumpled way.
It has been watching and studying you. I would say that you should not have broadcast this.
Osborne waved towards a pile of dead slaves.
But it wouldn't have mattered.
Joic felt his communicator buzz. Not taking his eyes off the Mentok, the signal was coming from a young Truffaut named Riot, almost a rock-like race, who led the team to the ships. But he didn't hear the variety of resonating chimes he normally did before the translator kicked in. Instead, he heard a singular sound, one he remembered from his childhood on Cursal, when a friend had been caught near his burrow. The sound of ripping flesh and the soft rhythmic pad of dripping blood.
Riot, report in, he asked,
but the only response was a signal cut. This was just as the door opened with a creak that spoke of the maintenance of Slave Quarter.
Boss, we're missing almost 20. Dead Met took his squad to check Hangar 9 and Ashtrick went to check the ship. Riot is putting outside patrols with Cursal and Reset are putting security through the slave complex. Their squads are missing the most, Kaz reported, obviously disturbed by the number missing.
I suspect the number has gone up. See if you can't get a hold of anyone from Riot's squad. Get them back here. Also put out the word, no one travels alone.
Joic said even as he thought.
Not even travelling in a group seemed to have helped whoever was the other end of that radio. Osborne, please tell me Delver wasn't stupid enough to try and bring a hawk in here, he stated, even as he felt the hair along his spine raise. Even the thought of one of those monsters stalking the dark cycles of the station sent a shiver through him.
I wish that was the case. Delvin's men did a raid on its colony and killed its mate and took their young. It has shown me this in its dreams. When it rests, it broadcasts its dreams with no regard. I cannot block it or escape it. This curse forces me to see what it would call hell. Its colony was fleeing its own kind.
Osborne started brokenly, but was becoming steadier as he spoke, as though talking was relieving him of a great burden.
They were at war, but not as we know it. I cannot do justice to the visions it has forced upon me. They killed entire worlds of their own.
Such is war,
Joic started, but Osborne's hiss cut him short.
Not like this. Not like this. We kill, true, but not like this. My kind is known for our unkind ways, but nothing like this. When it was found its dead offspring, the pain was drowned by another radiated emotion, so far beyond anger, I cannot describe it.
Osborne fell quiet again. He slowly began to shake his head. The commuter came back to life. It was Deschel, the fast-rising Carson he thought to be his greatest long-term threat. Joic felt a chill, even as Deschel announced,
Sir, Deadment is down. We found the slavers, most of them. Something tore them apart. No, took them apart. They are all laid out like they were studying them. It is attacking us, sir. We are falling back. We are down to 8.
In the background, he could just make out the sound of arc rifles shooting and something suddenly screaming in pain. Deschel was shouting to the remaining squad,
Valmov and me, we need to get out of here. Back to the slaver quarter.
No, get to the ships, Joic shouted as he turned towards Cass. Get our squads moving. We need to leave now.
At seeing Cass's obvious confusion, Joic shouted,
Leave the damn slaves. Just bring this one,
he clarified by pointing at Osborne.
It's too late,
Osborne kept mumbling as Joic's guards hoisted him up. As they began to leave, the lights in the station flickered. Power failure on a station this size is impossible, immediately crossed Joic's mind. They are built around multiple fusion generators.
It took out power a few times when it was trying to destroy the station, but redundant systems stopped it. It wants to die, so long as everything here dies with it. Only a month ago did it stop trying to destroy the station. That's when the frequency bursts started, and all other communications off the station ended.
Osborne moaned, still holding his head. He felt his communicator buzz again. Looking down, there was the Truffalo's. Even as he turned it on, he felt dread as the screen showed a small group of 5 in a circle moving down a hallway. They were in a defensive perimeter prepared for an attack. He didn't see Truffalo among them.
Wait, how is the camera following them from above?
He briefly wondered before a more unsettling realization set in.
Why do they have their lights on? Oh shit, the lights are off. It's projecting. It's in the dark.
Joic realized this just in time to see something shoot down, impaling a large soldier that he didn't recognize, putting him towards the camera.
By bullshit, it's hunting us.
As he turned off the communicator, his last sight was that of lifeless body swinging from the rafters at eye level. He finally recognized him, and found he'd preferred to not have.
Cash, I don't think any of Deadman's squad is going to make it. What is the status on the rest?
Joic asked as he checked his weapons. No point dying due to a dead charge.
Sir, Astrid is called. Our birds are dead.
Cass's skin was already shifting to a paler blue.
The cores are missing. Something took them. They can't even find the hangar crew.
Tell them to get back here. We need to figure out what is going on, Joic snarled. He looked back towards Osborne. Can you sense it now?
Harsh rasp of a response.
Like a supernova. It is everywhere, pulsing its pain and rage through this entire system. But it is steady and cold now. Not the fire it was originally was.
Osborne looked almost dazed. Joic briefly wondered if the creature was in Osborne's mind. Joic hardly felt reassured. "Let's go, now," Joic said as he headed towards the door when a sudden flash caught his attention. "Ancients, who the hell just discharged that weapon?" Passed briefly through his mind as he turned to see Osborne had snagged the guard's pistol and taken his own knife. "Kaz, get everyone in a defensive position. I want every sensor we have on," Joic said as he found himself unable to look away from the crumpled form of the Mentok.
"The sensors were on the ship. Then I can't get a hold of Astrid's squad. One of the guards thought he saw a light, but said it was only there briefly before it disappeared."
Cass continued, leaving the suspected lost on voice. "Get everyone to set up a defensive perimeter. Shoot anything that moves." Looking back at the dead Mentok, he felt a chill. "How many are left?"
Kaz looked uncomfortable. "We've been able to contact about 46. I'll get them stationed." "What is it?"
"I don't know. But we wait for it," Joic responded. Over the next few hours, the silence was almost overwhelming. Each passing hour seemed longer as few more reports trickled in of missing guards. "I can't get that image of it out of the rafters out of my head. No one has ever made a visual, and over half my force is gone," Joic lamented.
"Sir, we only have 15 left that are reporting in, and I'm not even sure that many are still here. Each report we lose more. We have to do something," Cass said.
Joic sat in shock. "I've only got 15 of them left. No one has even seen it. What is this thing?" "Get everyone together. We need to head out and see if we can find a way out of here. We are going to the guard post to get gear and see the station monitors," Joic replied softly. "I wonder how many will make it there." Even as they left, the lights in the hallways flickered and went out. Every sense in his body told him that he was being watched. The clear view of the lost squad from Hangar 9 kept coming back to his mind like a bad memory. As they moved down the corridor, he felt something warm and wet hit his back. He swung around instinctively, dropped to a crouch in time to see Cass look right at him, momentary surprise on his face as an object protruded from his chest before he suddenly vanished into the dark. At that moment, his remaining crew broke and ran. "Where the hell are they going? They are fleeing into the beast," he grimly thought. He started running towards the guard shack. "Ancients, have mercy," he thought as he turned the bend towards the guard post. The remains of several of his team were scattered about with parts of the guards. Everything else on the station was quiet, his footfalls echoing as he moved towards the post. The closer he got, the more ominous the feeling. "I don't know if this is a good idea. This almost looks like a lair," he thought as he approached. "Still, I need to get that security suite if I'm going to get out of here." He was shaking as he reached for the panel to open the door. Inside, he found the rest of the guards. "This was not the precise work of what hunts us. This looks as though a monster ripped through here." Then Joic heard a deep, disembodied voice from behind him. "Do you remember when you became a monster? I saw what you did to those slaves." "You have no right to call me a monster. Look around us," he yelled into the emptiness before him. Within arm's reach, the air seemed to shimmer as suddenly he found himself looking straight into the helmet of a large bipedal creature. It reached up and took its helmet off to reveal two intense eyes and a face that looked of leather with a mat of hair on top. The eyes were those of a hunter. He struggled to catch his breath as he pointed it towards the display and said, "Oh, I can recognize a monster, even if it is me. After the images I broadcasted of your protein tanks and slaves, I couldn't believe my luck as you reinforced it all with your little death squad. You have finally managed something that we have never done. You unified my race by showing them the monsters you are. They have launched a humanitarian crusade, all to save those weaker from the likes of you." The lips pulled back, revealing its teeth in a look of more malice than aggression. Joic looked back at the screen to watch in horror as multiple large, strangely angled ships seemed to shimmer into existence, dropping light-bending cloaks as they stalked the station. He felt pressure and looked down to see a blade protruding from his chest. "I always thought death would hurt more," he thought, as everything around him dimmed. End of story. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters: Bushmaster 117, Casper Arnholtz, Draxoon WRE, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, John Carrington, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.